Started out as a sociologist whose interest was the art world. I was very interested in really the transformation of the art world into a big cultural industry, which really kicked in the 1980s. And when I was at Columbia University in New York in the late 80s, early 90s, and when very few people were interested in the art market and galleries, these things were still very peripheral to academic interest in the arts. I was very interested in that period, which was, as you know, it was the biggest art boom of all time in the 1980s, and many people felt it would be the biggest art boom ever. And then in the next phase of my life, I taught a lot of people going into the art business, and increasingly, and now almost exclusively, advising organizations, museums, foundations, companies that are building new initiatives in the arts. So it's kind of a strategic counselor to art world organizations. Is a project that is now called the Davidoff Art Initiative. And it's really focused on the entire Caribbean region. And less so Cuba than focusing on the Dominican Republic. 3 years ago, very visionary CEO decided that the company wants to have a major role in the arts. And we worked together on creating a new initiative, the purpose of which is to really elevate Caribbean art in the global consciousness. Because the Caribbean is like any other part of the world. There are many talented, great artists who do their work very seriously, very professionally. What it lacks is a institutional ecology that puts these artists, projects them into the world. So, and that's why in the end we decided to make the core of this initiative a residency-based initiative, because we felt it was very important to bring Caribbean artists out into the world, which we're now sending to New York, to Berlin, to Beijing, and soon other places. And also we're bringing international artists to a new residency program, a new building actually, on the campus of Altos de Chavon, which is a very significant art school in the Dominican Republic in a rather unique environment. You know, in the last 15, 20 years, the global art world began to push out of the traditional core of Europe, Western Europe, and North America. And there's been a kind of series of awakenings and discoveries. And a few years ago, maybe 8, 9 years ago, you really started hearing people going, collectors going down to Brazil. And I think this is a process that keeps going. So, frankly, I think, in a way, Brazil is now less new news than it was 5, 6 years ago, and it's becoming incorporated into the sort of global art, annual thing. And today, as you go around the museums here, actually here in Colombia, and if you look at the walls here in the art fair, one of the things you keep bumping into is all this extraordinary Brazilian abstraction from the 1950s, which all looks so fresh. So, I think the good news for Brazil is that there is homegrown talent, that there is history, and that there is capacity. What Brazil makes of this moment is anybody's guess. Just for the companies that really are serious, it begins with a very deep look in the mirror and thinking about what that company, what that brand means or wants to mean, who it tries to reach. And then where you sort of come in is trying to match those goals up with very legitimate cultural activities that are not opportunistic, that are genuine, that actually make a contribution to the art world. It's been an enormous privilege to be involved in so many projects that I think have made a difference for artists and for audiences around the world.